my friends, I'm Miss Nancy Ruth. We're going to continue working on our Bible books today. Let's review what we've learned. Here we go. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua. Okay, then we have, Joshua judges Ruth. And what is Ruth doing? Ruth is shouting 1, 2, whee before going to her job, which in the Bible is pronounced Job. Very good. Now what is the order of those 1, 2 books? Sam is the king of the Chronicles. 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles. And remember, Chronicles sounds very much like a book in the New Testament, but you don't have to be confused because they come alphabetically. So 1st and 2nd Chronicles, the second letter is an H. That comes early in the alphabet, and that comes early in the Bible, in the Old Testament. 1st and 2nd Corinthians starts with an O. That comes later in the alphabet and later in the Bible, in the New Testament. So Chronicles is Old Testament, Corinthians is New Testament. All right, so let's look at what we've learned on our chart here. Joshua judges Ruth. Remember, we got to start with the dude. Deuteronomy. Joshua judges Ruth. 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles. Now we get to the Wheee books. Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther. There's E's in all of those books. That's our Wheee. So let's look a little bit at those books. In the book of Ezra, this is what we learn in 1st and 2nd Kings and 1st and 2nd Chronicles is that the kings did not do a very good job of helping the people follow God. And so just like in Judges, there was another nation that came in and there was a battle and Israel lost. But this time they had to go all the way away from home in exile. That means they had to leave home and couldn't come back. So that didn't last forever though, because the people were finally able to return because they repented and turned back to God and they did their punishment, and so they were able to come back. And that was called the return. But when they came back, everything was in ruins because during the battle, the temple had been destroyed, Jerusalem, the capital city, had been destroyed with the wall and everything, and it was not a good place. So, in the book of Ezra, they're rebuilding the temple. That's one of the first things they did, is rebuild the temple where they could worship God in the way that God wanted them to worship. So that's the book of Ezra. Then in Nehemiah, that's also during the return. And Nehemiah encouraged the people and got them together to rebuild the wall around Jerusalem very quickly. A city without a wall around it was like having your doors without locks on them. Anybody could come in and cause trouble, and it was not good. And so they had to have that wall, and they rebuilt it very quickly because God was with Nehemiah and helped the people. Okay? Then we have the book of Esther. In the book of Esther, this actually happens. This lady had been taken away from home. Her family had been taken away from home in exile, and she was still far away. She hadn't come back yet. So God had her in a special place for a special time because the rulers of the land wanted to wipe out all the Jews, wanted to kill all the Hebrew people, all the Israelites. But because Esther became queen, she was able to save her people. I encourage you to read the book of Esther if you haven't read it in a while. It's really amazing. It talks about how we need to be brave because God may have a special job for us to do. And even though it's hard, He's there with us. It's a great book. Okay, so one more time. Let's do our memory tricks because those help me out a lot. First, we do our chant at the beginning. Here we go. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua. Then for the next section, that was the law. The next section is the Old Testament history. Joshua judges Ruth. And what is Ruth doing? Ruth shouts 1, 2, whee before going off to her job, which in the Bible is pronounced Job. Very good. So we have in our 1st and 2nds, Sam, the king of the Chronicles, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles. Then we have our Wheee books, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther. And then Ruth is going off to her job, which is Job. That's what comes next. But we'll save that for later. I'll see you later, my friends. Keep practicing. Bye.